If you've ever played World of Warcraft, then you've been tantalized, no doubt, by the thought of how delicious beer-basted boar ribs would be. This starting level recipe, handed out by dwarves, is sought out by even the most discerning of Tauren chefs. No matter if your battle cry is for the Alliance or for the Horde, it's time to add another point to that cooking skill. It's beer-basted boar ribs, and you're watching the Gamer Gourmet.
Today on Gamer Gourmet we're making beer-basted ribs. Now this is actually a take on a recipe that you find in World of Warcraft. Beer-basted boar ribs. I don't have boar, I've got pork. So we're actually going to start with what we're going to be basting our ribs in. I've taken some honey brown lager and I'm boiling it down. This will cook out the alcohol, but we'll keep the flavor. I'm also going to be adding to this a little liquid smoke because it's a little cold outside and a little wet outside to be cooking on the grill, but that'll still give it that grill taste. And just so it'll stick a little bit better to the meat, we're going to be adding some honey barbecue sauce, again keeping the honey theme. But again, you're still going to get that beer flavor. This is going to cook down into a sauce, which we will apply to our ribs and then pop into a 350 degree oven. We are actually changing things up here on the Gamer Gourmet. We're actually going to be putting more gamer into it. So while I cook, my two resident WoW experts, Buckland and Caleb, will be discussing WoW lore. Who's got it better in World of Warcraft? Horde or Alliance?
Hey everybody, this is Gamer Gourmet. This is the gamer portion of Gamer Gourmet. We've already been introduced. My name is Buckland.
I'm Caleb.
And we're going to be talking about WoW today. Which is better, Horde or Alliance?
Alliance.
Of course, I'm going to be on the Horde side because I've always played Horde. He's going to be on the Alliance side, of course, because he's always played Alliance. So, me and him, he's my brother, by the way. Unfortunately. We've been talking, and I think what we're going to be talking about mainly is the First and Second War and all the lore that wraps around it. So, we're actually going to start, if you want to get technical, the war itself, the first war, actually started, technically speaking, on Draenor.
Yes. The Draenei was originally fought the Horde.
Or the space donkeys.
the Draenei.
Whatever. Donkeys, goats, they're all the same.
Well, it was because that the Horde, people you loved so much, were demonically possessed by a giant demon lord who kept telling them to conquer everything on their planet and they have a brighter future with what they thought was spirits.
Yeah, what was it
the
called?
Beautiful one.
Which
turned out to be Kil'jaeden.
Turned out to be Kil'jaeden, you know, our bad.
So they're corrupted from the start.
From the start, we were corrupted, yes, but we did curve stomp the shit out of anything that was on Draenor. I think the only one that actually stood a chance was what was the leader of the Draenor guy? What was his name?
Valen.
Valen was the only one that really had enough power to really, affect anything. The rest of the Draenei
we didn't hide him.
Yeah. Well, the majority of the race got stomped out. There was a group that left, and there was a group that actually went into hiding on Draenor. Yeah.
Well, because of the first war, man, we have to talk about the first war first. You see, the Horde, they come through the Dark Portal, which was made by Medivh, who betrayed everybody.
Right, which is a human, that's your end.
Well, he was also influenced by Kil'jaeden.
He was nuttier than squirrel poop.
Exactly, he was crazy.
This is true.
Any of you who have ever run a raid in Karazhan get to see how crazy.
He was crazy. And he made a pact with Gul'dan, and he built it on Azeroth's side, and they built it on the Draenor side.
Right. With the help of many, many slaves. Many slaves were killed during the creation of the Dark Portal on the Horde side. Basically, it took, what was it? I think it was 5 warlocks of constant, dedicated toward the Dark Portal to keep it open, just on the Horde side.
See, Medivh, he didn't have to keep it up on his side because he was a very powerful being. it would stay open by the Horde side constantly. There had to be 5 warlocks to maintain it.
That's what I said.
Yeah. But anyway, the Horde, you know, they come running through.
Well, anyway, the Horde technically did not become demon-possessed corrupt until right at the very beginning of the fight with the Drana guys.
Because they drank Manaroth's blood.
Right. But here's the thing, not all the clans drank Manaroth's blood.
And they got, almost all of those got killed out.
Because they were pussies.
Because they were pussies. And so from the start, they already killing each other.
Let's put your hand down.
But, so, you know.
This is true. But once what happened was once the Dark Portal was officially open, the Horde actually sent through raiding parties to go through. Basically, what they done is they raided local areas. Nothing big. It was mainly
they were scouting the land.
Scouting the land, things of that nature. When all the scouting parties come back. And once the scouting parties come back, now here's the thing: once they become corrupt, Draenor started looking like a pile of crap at this point, because they were, of course, corrupted by the Burning Legion, by Kil'jaeden.
They affected the planet.
They were affecting the planet. Now, originally, the Horde were very shamanistic. They believed in worshiping nature, basically, land, ancestors, and they took very good care of their world because that was their heritage. And once Kil'jaeden got into the picture by corrupting Gul'dan and promising Ner'zhul. Well, first it was Ner'zhul, and Gul'dan was, of course, Ner'zhul's apprentice.
He was always power hungry, though.
Yeah, Gul'dan was always, even before Kil'jaeden even showed up. But once that whole process started, the land itself, kind of think of it like the land itself fed off of the Horde itself, the Orc clans, and once they become corrupt, the land become corrupt. And basically you got Outland like it is today.
So basically they wanted to find a new home. So they come to a place where they're not welcome, and it's not their home. Like, we're going to try to take our home from the Alliance.
So you're calling the Orcs a bunch of squatters?
They're a bunch of squatters.
Yes, indeed, we are. I would be averse to admit that. We are a bunch of squatters. Basically, the Orcs are America. The humans are the Indians. We're here. This is ours now. Piss off. That's what they are.
Well, this is the thing. You guys don't belong here, so we're going to drive you back through the Dark Portal. One day.
One day.
I want it to happen.
Good luck
One
with
day.
that.
But here's the thing. Here's what actually happened. The First War.
We lost the First War, but
Bad.
it was only one human kingdom. He was only fighting the Kingdom of Stormwind.
It doesn't matter.
So,
you know,
you didn't have all the human kingdoms united, plus all the other races on Azeroth.
So technically speaking,
There's a reason that first game was called Orcs and Humans.
Yeah.
Now you know
it
why.
was orcs and humans. We didn't even have the trolls with us at that point. We didn't have ogres with us at that
You
point.
did. No, they did have ogres.
They did have ogres, but
A few.
Well, yeah.
like, for instance, Cho'Gall was
Cho'Gall was Gul'dan's
apprentice.
Yeah, but it was the ogres over in Draenor. It wasn't the ogres that were over here.
But you guys come
The
in.
First War.
You caught us off guard.
But yes, we've caught the Alliance off guard. Well, it wasn't the Alliance. It was the Kingdom of Stormwind.
Well, of Azeroth.
Of Azeroth. Whatever you want to call it. That's technically the technical name for it. But we curb stomped the living crap out of the Alliance, and only out of the humans, and only a small group
Of survivors.
Actually, there's a couple of hundred
Left.
got away.
They left and they went to South Shore. And when they got to South Shore, they went to the king of Lordaeron, King Tyrannus, and Anduin Lothar, the Lion of Azeroth. He was the general of the United Nations.
Knight Champion of Stormwind.
Yeah, he was the Knight Champion of Stormwind. He got elected to become like the general of the Alliance armies.
Eventually.
No, right off the bat.
Well, right off the bat, but they had to do a lot of convincing.
A lot of the Alliance kingdoms, because there was 5. There was Lordaeron, there was Alterac, Stromgarde, Gilneas, and the guys who are on the sea. What do they call it?
I don't know. Whatever.
Kulturos.
Yeah.
There was 5 of them, and we're including the survivors from Stormwind.
Yeah.
But there were 6. A lot of them needed convincing. Like, for instance,
There's no giant green people that's gonna show up and murder everyone. Boogity boogity boogity.
Well, that's how a lot of them thought. But would you believe it though?
Probably not.
So there you go. Like, for instance, Paranoid, he's a big chicken. He betrays everybody, but that's to be later.
Down the line.
That's down the line. But Gen Greymane, he didn't want nothing to do with it.
King Greymane is a dick anyway.
Well, yeah.
What am I going to do during the Third War? I'm going to wall my country off.
Well, I mean, I'd rather do that than have my people be turned to the Scourge.
Oh, well.
We're not talking,
But we're not talking about the Scourge here. We're talking about giant wolf people. But whatever. We're going on back to where we were at.
Jumping ahead.
Jumping ahead a little bit there, but you know.
Anyway, they eventually form the Alliance.
This needs to be noted here. The High Elves were basically refused to help because they were like, "It's far away. It's not affecting us. Here's 100 Rangers. Have fun."
That's pretty much what happens. But
and then someone had to be a dick.
Pretty much 100,000 years
No,
ago.
that comes a little late.
Not 100,000.
That's Garethol.
I think it's like 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, whatever. The first human kingdom of Arathor helped the Night Elves, or the High Elves, take care of their troll population.
They helped them fight the war.
They helped them fight the trolls. That's why the trolls have a hatred for the High Elves. And the first king...
But only the forest trolls.
Only the forest trolls. The first king of Arathor told him that him or any of his people down his line ever call on the help of the High Elves, they would have to help them. And later on, during the Second War, they call on the High Elves to help. And that's when they...
Actually, being correct, it's after the trolls join up with the Horde.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Horde said, "Sure, we'll take care of your pesky elf problem if you join us." So they go to this forest of Quel'Thalas and they burn it down. And it takes the effect of their forest getting burned to the ground for the High Elves to say, "You know what, I think we should get involved in this."
Well, the High Elves have always been like that. They always thought they were
But here's the
better
thing,
than
they
everybody
didn't even
else.
really help the Alliance. What did they do? "Oh God, our forest is burning. Shield."
Well,
They are.
Wouldn't you do that to protect your own city, though?
They are the Terrans from StarCraft. They are turtle hermits. They are turtles. That's what they done.
But they're warriors, some of the most skilled warriors on Azeroth at the time. The Rangers, they were like...
We're skilled! Bubble.
Well, wouldn't you do that to protect... If it was either death or protect your city, what would you choose?
I'm a Horde fan, so I'm saying let's go fight.
Well, I'd rather make sure my people's going to be safe.
But basically what they do is they wall themselves up and don't... And basically the Horde use Quel'Thalas as a staging area because they got the giant bubble, all the elves are in there, they're not going anywhere.
Not all the elves in there.
Well, the
majority of their army is with the Alliance.
Yeah, but all their super mega powerful archmages are stuck inside the city going, "Well, this sucks."
Well, that's where the Sunwell is. That's where their source of power is. So why wouldn't they protect that? They're mana addict. They snort mana, basically.
They crush pixies and snort them. Is that what they do?
That's pretty much what they do.
Get a $100 bill, do it, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of elves saying that Rush is the greatest band of all time. Let's picture that.
That's pretty much
the police, man. Let me just tell you.
No, guys, you just trade a few mana worms and you're fine.
But, and see, after we kind of got sidetracked.
We got a little sidetracked.
But anyway, the Horde, they form the Alliance, and the Horde comes through. They make giant boats.
Because they curve stomp the dwarves.
The dwarves, but the dwarves have here's the thing. Nobody was expecting this. You catch everybody off guard. So you walk in and you kill the
orcs. Natural stealthy predators. Not one war, but two wars we catch you off guard. The second war, you knew we were coming, and we still catch you off guard.
What? No,
why? Because you're bitching and complaining with each other that the giant scary orc population don't exist.
Well, I mean, it's hard for people to believe that, though.
There's only 100 survivors of Stormwind left. Sure, nobody believes it.
But anyway, they basically drive back the dwarves into Ironforge and they close the gates. Ironforge.
Once again, another Alliance faction turtles up.
That's three.
That's three. 3 in the history of WoW. 3 alliance nations decide, you know what? We ain't doing this anymore, Wall.
Well, if you want to be technical, the High Elves turned out to join the Horde later on.
This is true.
So really, well, I guess it's still 3, but you know what? Shut up. But anyway, they mine the ore from the dwarves' mines, and they build giant boats made out of like metal and stuff, and they basically sail.
It's actually 4 giant.
That's like 4 giant boats, and they sail.
The entire Horde population gets on those boats.
And guess where they land? They land in South Shore.
Yes, they do.
But while that's happening, my favorite part of all Warcraft lore, the Church of the Light
gets formed.
They get formed. They don't get formed, but the priesthood of North Abbey or whatever they're called.
Silver hand job, yes.
They were surviving priests from the First War. They basically come into the Church of the Light and they decide they need to make warriors to fight the Horde.
Before you guys get to the second war, I do have to interrupt you just for a moment to go back to the cooking for a second. Sorry, I had to interrupt the guys here, but we gotta get these ribs in the oven. Now, what I am making, this is still reducing to a sauce, but we're at least gonna give the ribs their first coat of liquid. This is really thin at this moment. This is gonna continue to reduce and thicken to a thicker sauce. But
I love it.
this is at least gonna give the ribs their first infusion of flavor, and then these are going down into the oven for at least an hour. And while this continues to cook, Bethel and Caleb will continue to talk. And by the time they're done talking, these will be done cooking, and you'll get to see the final product.
Oh, I can't interrupt.
Hey guys, this is part 2 of the discussion about the first, second, possibly the third war also. So we're going to pick up where we left off. The Horde had just landed at South Shore with their giant badass boats of awesomeness. They showed up.
Like I was saying in the other part, the Church of the Light, they commune with the priests of the Abbey or whatever, that place in Strongman.
Northshire Abbey.
Northshire Abbey, yeah. The surviving priests. They said, we need to make warriors of the light. It's people to lead our forces. So they picked 5.
Because the Alliance need heroes to lead them.
Well, the Horde only has 1 hero, which is...
That's all we need. That's all we need. They need multiple, but we're not getting into that. Go ahead.
I won't even acknowledge you right now. But anyway, so they picked 5 of the most promising priests/warriors, which was Terrellian, Uther, Sidon Dathrohan, Gavin Gribwald, and Tyrion Forger. And
they make the paladins.
They ordain them, and they make them paladins. All 5 of these guys are really...
The Order of the Silver Hand Job was created.
The Order of the Silver Hand was created, not Silver Hand. And basically, they make each one of them have a certain group of the... a certain number of it.
They split the army up.
They split the army up.
They're generals of the army. Yada.
And the first battle of South Shore. Now, the Horde had already had their own warriors like this. The Death Knights. And
Death Knights version 1.
Not the yellow, scourge-loving...
Let's explain
Death Knights.
Death Knights version 1. Death Knight versions 1 were fallen...
Warlocks.
Or was it Warlock? No. The bodies were...
human.
The bodies were human. The skeletal remains. What they done was they took the dead soul of a orc warlock and stuck his soul in the skeleton. That in turn created this super omni-powerful Death Knight. He is a warrior/warlock. Not the Death Knights we have now. Okay, we'll get that. The Death Knights we have now they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
They're completely their own subsect. Basically, this is version 1. We have version 2 right now. So this is version 1. These guys would basically roll in. They would roll in and cast death and decay. And a regiment of human warriors' skin would melt off.
Yeah, that would
That's
happen.
pretty much what would happen. And these Death Knights they basically were leading armies themselves. They were massively powerful. Basically, they were the counterpoint to the Paladins. But there was one weakness.
The Paladins they wielded the light.
Right.
And the light's always gonna prevail over the
darkness. Blah, 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 blah.
And
that's why if you ever played Warcraft 2, the game, that's why when you get the ability to make knights, the best ability ever is the, what is it? It's the gong, it's the church bell thing. No, exorcism. Basically what you do is your Death Knight Roman exorcism, boom, kills the Death Knight in one shot.
because that's how we roll.
But, counterpoint, the Death Knight had the same thing. He had, what is the green fireball? What is it called?
Death coil.
Death Coil. Death Coil, same thing back in those times. You cast Death Coil, it hit something, killed it instantly. So they both had the same variance. But, you know.
That was game terms.
That was game terms. Actually, in real time, I mean, in the game, even in the lore itself, they pretty much were even fighting against each other.
Because a lot of things in lore and in the game are scaled down.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, South Shore in the game, it's like a couple buildings, but it's actually a city.
A huge city.
Well, not huge, but it's a port.
It's a huge port.
But anyway, the Horde, they landed their giant boats, and they get Alliance's army, minus Gen Greymane's army, because he pulled his back.
Because Gen Greymane's pussy, like I said, turtle hermit. Anyway,
I won't argue that.
there's too many pussies in the Alliance. I'm sorry.
I mean, like I said before, who would believe all this stuff?
Who would believe they're just rolling up on the, getting ready to curve stomp South Shore? Nobody's gonna believe that.
Well, they already had nobody to believe that.
Or whatever.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. But the Horde shows up, the Alliance is there, there's two massive battles. So it's the biggest battle that ever happened during the Civil
It's
War.
officially the first battle
Between the Alliance and the Horde.
officially. Basically, because you had the Alliance that was formed minus the Night Elves and minus the Worgen.
You mean, minus all the other races.
Minus all the extra special races. You had they were officially calling themselves
The
Alliance at that point. Or the Alliance of Azeroth.
The Alliance of Lordaeron.
Alliance of Lordaeron. That's what they were calling themselves. So they were technically the Alliance at that point. That was the Battle of South Shore was the first official battle. And that battle raged for hours.
Well, it was days, because they would fight, and then they break up, and then they fight again. It was
like, normal medieval tactics. They would charge each other, fight for 10 minutes, break apart. They charge each other, fight for 10 minutes, break apart.
But here's the thing: the Alliance came in. I mean, the Paladins showed up on the last charge.
The last charge.
And it made the Horde run, because all 5 of the Paladins, they glowed. Their skin was luminescent. They were so bright.
They were newly birthed Paladins. Oh. Fresh from the womb of the light.
But they still killed your Death Knights there, butthole.
This is true. They did murder all the Death Knights. At that point, the Death Knights were pretty much gone.
Except for a few.
There was like a handful.
Aaron Gorfiend, but he's later on.
Yeah, there's like a handful left. Not many. But basically, that's basically why the Paladins were created. Were pretty much to deal with the Death Knight problem. Because the Death Knights were killing like whole regiments of men in one shot. And the Alliance, when the Paladins showed up, the Paladins, they didn't have that kind of power to be able to wipe out whole regiments.
No, but they inspired troops. That was their
right. That was their whole big thing. I mean, it's the whole thing of like, I'm here, protect me, and they all show up to protect, and they don't run. Basically,
they inspire the Alliance.
They remove the fear from the soldiers.
Yeah, because you gotta realize, I will give you this: you got an 8-foot tall orc running at you with an axe with like 7 spears in him. That's kind of scary.
Actually, technically speaking, the orcs didn't run that time were around about 10 feet tall.
Well, yeah, they were
huge guys. You gotta imagine this: giant, 10-foot guy, green, huge muscles, and got an axe that's as big as a normal-sized human.
Did they have big tusks?
Yes, big, huge tusks.
Some of them were red.
Think the orcs from Warhammer 40k. Those are the old-timey orcs in WoW.
Damn.
They didn't talk the same, but pretty much they looked about the same.
They actually did talk the same.
No, they didn't. But anyway, they had these huge guys. Now here's the problem with the Horde. I will acknowledge this: the Horde fought,
but they go into a
as individuals. That was
they
their
went into a
problem.
blood haze and they couldn't stop themselves. Horde members at that time have been known to kill each other because they can't stop because they're so bloodthirsty.
Because of the corruption that's in them. Because they drunk. They did get better eventually. They did. But before that happened, they got into such a blood craze. And here's the thing: you got a 10-foot man, axe the size of you. He's got 6 or 7 arrows in him. He's got 2 or 3 spears stuck through him, and he's still coming at you. The reason being, he feels no pain at all. He's probably already dead, but he's still coming at you. And that's the kind of warriors that the Alliance had to fight at that time. And that's why the Alliance were getting their asses kicked until the Paladins showed up.
Yeah.
Now, the Alliance was losing up to that point.
They were losing, but here's the thing: the Alliance, after a couple fights, they kind of figured out how to fight the Horde, and they was actually fighting Horde.
After a couple battles.
After a
not
couple
Yeah,
fights.
running at these things is kind of stupid.
Yeah, they're kind of stupid. We can actually use tactics and kill them.
Yes.
Cause there was more Alliance
Yeah,
soldiers. at that
Orcs at the time had one strategy.
Kill until it dies.
Go forward, kill everything that's in front of you. That's it.
Yep.
That's pretty much the tactics, and that was the down. I will acknowledge this: the only tactic that the Horde fought as individuals, they did not fight as a unit. That was their downfall.
They didn't
anyway,
They didn't have that protect the man to your right kind
No.
of thing that the Alliance
it
had.
was like I'm going to kill everybody. I've got 16 arrows in my face. Don't it look pretty? I'm going to still kill you. That's pretty much how the Horde
But
works.
anyway,
Moving on.
The Horde retreats from the Battle of South Shore. They run.
They still hold South Shore.
They hold South Shore, but the Alliance eventually takes it.
Eventually, they laid siege to South Shore, but the Horde army retreats and goes toward
The hinterlands.
The hinterlands.
And
They still hold South Shore, the city of South Shore.
Now
They
this is
still
all
hold.
before the Battle of Quel'Thalas.
Right.
A sect of them go to start the Battle of Quel'Thalas. That's what we'll be talking about later. So the Alliance try to recruit the Wildhammer Dwarves into the Alliance. And they tell them that the Wildhammer Dwarf believes them. That there's these giant monsters coming to attack them. And they attack Airy Peak, which is one other...
But here's the thing: only you're looking at 2 or 3 clans that actually attack Airy Peak, which is originally where the Wildhammer clan
was their area. It's like their hub. That's where they all stay. It's like their city.
It's their main hub. Airy Peak was their original area.
But here's the thing: they commit their forces to the Alliance, and the Alliance commits an army led by Anduin Lothar, which is the Lion of Azeroth, one of the most skilled fighters on Azeroth at the time. He leads an army to fight them, and they fight the Horde. They're in the hinterlands. It's a pretty good battle. The Alliance wins. But turns out it was a ploy, a diversion of the main forces of the Horde.
The big green man can use tactics too! Bam!
They have very simple tactics.
But it worked!
It's like, we're gonna... Because the trolls came... Because the forest trolls came to the Horde, and we told them, you can deal with our elf problem. we'll
Actually,
help
we
you."
found them by accident.
And while orcs don't have tactics, trolls kind of had a hit. Trolls had a few thousand hundred generations
Yeah.
of guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, because they've been fighting the high elves, right?
Yeah. And I can't remember what the name of was it Zul'jin?
Zinjin.
Zinjin was the troll leader.
He's the guy who cut his own arm off and plucked his own eye out to get away from the high elves.
But he did.
Yeah.
He got away. And he's still a badass. One eye, one hand, still a badass.
But
But anyway, moving on. But anyway, the Wildhammer clans,
they have the Griffin Riders.
that's their big thing. The Griffin Riders, basically they're dwarves on backs of griffins that
Throw giant storm hammers. When they hit the ground,
lightning shoots at.
lightning shoots out everywhere.
Right.
And they're awesome.
Effective.
They're very effective. Yeah.
Very effective.
The Horde at the time didn't have anything until later.
For getting ready.
To so the Alliance figures out this is a ploy, so they run back to Quel'Thalas.
Trying to.
They enforce. That's when the High Elves say, "Well, we'll help you finally."
Right.
But they bubble up.
Don't hurt us.
Anyway, while this is going on, the Dragon Ball clan was still in Cosmodon, where they fought the.
Now this is what they done. They enslaved
Alex Strauss.
Alex Strauss,
The Life Finder.
the Life Finder, the lady that lives in Dragon's. Was it Dragon's Right? What?
Dragon's Reach.
Dragon's Reach, the giant, huge thing, and Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, they bound her
However they done that, please, is beyond me.
because
They-
we're super cool.
Well, no, they had.
They took her out a nice date. They took her to, we'll say shonies because they're orcs. Don't want to spend a lot of money. They get there, they slip a couple of roofies in her drink. Boom, Lifebinder bound.
It was actually called the Dragon, or the Demon Soul. That's how they was able to bind her.
Yeah. AKA Dragon Roofie.
Pretty much.
Basically.
And
They bind her.
the Demon Soul has a part of her essence inside of it. Right. But that's another story.
You notice they're going to divert. There's a lot of diversions here.
A lot of diversions.
Welcome to WoW lore.
It happens a lot.
It happens a lot. Yeah.
So anyway, basically what they do, they're raping her, aren't they?
They have her main consort, which is Courier Strauss, was his name.
Right.
They basically forced him to mate with her and make.
So WoW is not all lollipops and rainbows and
there's
sugar plums.
There's rape.
There's
You got,
rape there.
you got orcs forcing dragons to make homemade porn.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Putting it on the Horde nets. Where Gul'dan sitting in the corner going, that's
Two dragons, one cup.
Two dragons, one
Oh,
cup.
God!
Two dragons, one cup. Well, anyway, what happens? Face. Anyway, what happens? They are taming these dragons.
Yeah.
And the Dragon Ball clan are dragon riders. So, the Alliance get these nifty, swell Griffin riders. Swell. Griffin riders that are probably, about 10, 15 foot long. And they got a little dwarf about 4.5 foot tall on top of it, throwing a nice hammer down on it. It explodes into lightning. Now the Horde, on the other hand, we get a 60-foot long dragon with a 10-foot tall dragon rider on its back, and the dragon spits probably a 400-foot cone of liquid fire. So,
All because they enslaved the dragon aspect.
that's right, because that's what the Horde does.
All because you found the Demon Soul.
We found it. We found it. It was in a Cracker Jack box. Gul'dan's Cracker Jack box.
Gul'dan
What's going
I found it in Black Rock Mountain.
They did. That's where they make all the Cracker Jacks for Azeroth. Anyway, they find the dragon, so yada yada yada. The Griffin Riders show up at Quel'Thalas. We're going to save the day. We're dwarves. We're going to save the day. Yay! All of a sudden, Shadow appears. It's not Deathwing, guys. It's just a shit ton of dragons. Red dragons show up, and they finish burning Quel'Thalas Forest to the ground. And they drive the Alliance forces away.
Okay, this is where it actually makes me kind of mad. Because after that happens, the Horde, they kind of use Quel'Thalas as a staging point back for what we were saying. The Alliance kind of runs away, and they recruit finally
Their
the
tail
help.
between their legs. They run away.
Well, I'll give you that. They had them on the run there. But they get reinforcements from Alterac. I mean, not Alterac, Stromguard and Gilneas.
Right.
Because he finally commits his armies.
Gilneas, I guess King whatever his name is, got laid or something. And he's like, you know what? It's a pretty good idea. I better help these guys out. Yeah.
on? Was Greymane?
Greymane, yeah. He's like, yeah, I think I'll help you. You know what, Lordaeron? Great berry juice. Great berry juice there. We gotta go there. That's what happened.
Yes, Josh. Believe that.
That's what
But
happened.
anyway, what else happened? Gul'dan.
Yeah, this is where it kind of pisses me off. Okay.
Gul'dan is always a power-hungry mongrel. So
At this point, he's not the official leader of the Horde.
he was for like a week.
Yeah, and then Blackhand.
Blackhand's already dead at this time period.
Well, yeah, this time Blackhand's already dead, and Pilgrim Doomhammer, badass himself, is leader of the
If
Horde.
you don't know who Ogrim Doomhammer is, the hammer Thrall's carrying, that belonged to Doomhammer.
Right. That was his hammer. The Ogrim and Thrall were best friends growing up. They grew up on Draenor together.
No. Ogrim and Garrosh. No, and Grom were best friends.
Well, no.
Thrall wasn't alive.
Well, not Thrall. Thrall's dad. What's his name?
Oh,
What's his face?
anyway, I can't remember what his name is.
Who's his name? Thrall's.
Frostwolf clan leader.
The Frostwolf clan leader. That's it. They grew up together.
Yeah.
But anyway, at this time, Ogrim is the leader of the Horde. And he calls for reinforcements from South Shore. Because they still hold South Shore at this time. Now, if Gul'dan would have committed all of his forces...
He had 3 clans.
3 clans.
He had the Twilight Tamer clan, the Shadow Tooth or something like that.
Something like that.
And then he had some other clan, Stormreaver.
Right.
And he took those 3 clans and he went to the Lost Isles.
No, well, actually, there was 6 clans. 3 of them he reinforced with Ogrim. The other 3 clans left
With him.
with him.
Because he heard of a powerful artifact.
Right. And one of the Dragon Maw guys, which is a cool scene in the book. The dragon, they half the forces go to reinforce Ogrim. The other half get in one of the big metal boats and leave. And when that happens, one of the Dragon Maw clan guys flies to the ship and is floating alongside the ship, and they're trying to figure out like what the heck's going on. And when they try to speak to Gul'dan, Gul'dan melts his face off and kills him when the dragon flies off. But basically, what Gul'dan's trying to do is Gul'dan's trying to get the Eye of Sargeras,
which is a powerful artifact.
very powerful artifact.
And it has Sargeras' like essence or something.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure what it has in it.
It's the reason why.
It's the reason why Illidan looks like the way he is, but that's another story.
That's another story. But the Eye of Sargeras is really the reason
And can
why.
be saved for another episode.
Yeah.
Yes. It is really the reason why Gul'dan even wanted to come to Azeroth in the first place. Is because of all these powerful artifacts he was told by the beautiful one.
Mm-hmm. They show up and they go down into this tomb, and Gul'dan and his most trusted like warlocks or whatever.
Basically,
they go down there and they never heard from him again.
Never heard from him.
They
You play Warcraft 3, there's a cool scene, tells about it, it's great. But basically they go down there, they get killed, and Gul'dan dies at the gate.
He gets ripped apart by demons.
Gets ripped, that's what it says. Basically in the book it says it goes black. He closes his eyes and all he hears is screams of his fellow clansmen getting ripped apart. And 2 out of the 3 clans are destroyed.
All of them get destroyed because the Horde send like another army there to kill the traitors.
Yeah.
And
but what's his name gets away.
Yeah.
Basically, once the other
Cho'Gall gets away.
Cho'Gall gets away, and you don't kill Cho'Gall until
That's another
Cataclysm. That's another story. But anyway, jumping back to what happened.
The Horde at that time were planning, and they thought there was a way they could get to Lordaeron quickly, and it was through the kingdom of Ulthrak.
They knew that if they could destroy Home City, and that's what they called it because the Alliance are not really creative. They call it Home City.
It's Capital City.
Capital City. Home City. Whatever.
It's the name of it.
That's where everyone's Hearthstone was. Anyway. They decided if they could destroy that, it would break the back of the Alliance. Which it would.
It would, because it was where all the leadership was.
That's where all the leadership was. They figured if they could do that, it would break the back of the Alliance, and they could win.
But they couldn't get to it, though.
They could not. Because you had one kingdom in the way, and the only way around it was to travel around
and go through Ulthrak, which was the smaller kingdom. But Ulthrak had a pretty sizable army
in
there. But their king, Aiden Perenol, I think that's how you say it. Aiden Perenol, he was a coward. The Horde told him that the Alliance, now this is bad, but he was a coward all the way from the beginning. Yeah. He never wanted the Alliance.
He never wanted
He thought
it was a bad idea.
Him and King Greyman thought each kingdom should
fight individually
and look after themselves. Everybody else didn't agree with him. But anyway, he made a pact with Ogrim. They met in a secret location, and he tells them, Ogrim says, "We'll spare your country if you let us come through your lands so we can get to capital city.
It's actually one narrow passage.
Yeah,
actually. That's all
it's very narrow.
And like 4 or 5 men could stand side by side.
And he's all right, let's do that. And they go through and they attack, they siege capital city for a long time. But capital city has a pretty sizable defense, like forces with them. Now another badass up in here is the guy who's leading Stromgarde. I can't remember his name is like something Trollbane. I can't remember what his name is. Trollbane.
That's his last name.
He never liked Aiden at all.
If you play the game Warcraft 2, there's a level where if you're playing the Alliance side, you attack that area and destroy them. They're the pink country. You destroy them. No, they're orange or they're orange. And you destroy them and along with the Horde also.
But he's like, he goes to Stromgarde. I mean to Alterac with some of his forces, not a lot, and he
cuts the passage off.
He cuts the passage off his men. You know, they have like shield walls so many guys deep, and they're holding the Horde back. And he goes to the keep where Aiden is. He was gonna kill him, but he doesn't. He cuts his fingers off and like puts him in prison.
And he dies in prison.
He dies in prison. That's the end. That's the end of him.
That's the end of him. He dies in prison. But they effectively cut the Horde's reinforcements off.
And General Terrellian, which is the guy who's leading his portion of the army, he was very in tune with the light. He was one of the most promising paladins, other than Uther. And his army was like stationed near capital city, and they come around, the Horde's attacking, and they basically sandwich that group of the Horde. And basically what's going on here is that this time there's a lot of fighting going on everywhere. Everywhere, because the Alliance armies are here's a Horde army, and they're just everywhere. And it's kind of one-sided, because the Alliance get the High Elves help, and they find the Gnomes help them, and the Dwarves, they have the Wildhammer Dwarves.
Jump in.
And basically what happens is they basically
what happens is the Horde gets cut off from their reinforcements, and they can't be reinforced. So the only way the Alliance has to beat the Horde is to cut off their supply lines. That's the only way they can beat them. And basically this all culminates and they get back to
Black Rock Mountain.
Play the game Black Rock Mountain. Go in the area.
That's where the Dragonmaw clans rape and now Alexstrasza.
Right. That's where the final stand for the Horde was.
Every single clan. They was in a giant circle. It was like 16 or some clans that were still left there. And each clan has like thousands of orcs in it. It was in a giant circle on the Fields of Pain or whatever it's called there. And basically the Alliance...
That's the reason why the Black Rock Mountain area in WoW looks the way it does.
Because it's, there's actually a giant statue of Anduin Lothar there, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that just in a second. Now, the fight ensues.
The Alliance... All the Alliance's forces are there. All the Horde forces are there.
You know,
it's going to be the final battle.
True Lord of the Rings style fighting each other. You got dragons and griffin riders in the air fighting each other. You got you got trolls and ogres and all this going on.
Basically, Anduin Lothar, he leads the charge as like Doomhammer leads the charge on the Horde side.
Right.
They fight their way through
each other's armies.
They meet each other. And the entire army stops and watches Anduin and
true Mortal Kombat style, the armies circle around them. They stop fighting, and Ogrim Doomhammer and Anduin Lothar fight.
And it was kind of a one-sided battle. Anduin Lothar was winning, but Ogrim was cheap. He kicked sand in his face.
And then in true, South Park style ownage, smashes Anduin Lothar's brain all over the place.
Well, yeah, he kills him.
He kills the crap out of him, and that's when
General Terrellian. He was a promising paladin. He was never really, because the lights are weird. It only comes to you like in certain times. It's kind of like. I'm guessing you kind of think like a Dragon Ball Z thing. You know, like a Super Saiyan or a Saiyan only gets powerful when he gets angry, or something happens. he basically the light awakens inside of him.
Right.
He sprouts like these giant.
He goes
wings.
Super Saiyan.
Pretty much. He
You
sprouts
guys
like
go on,
these.
big monkey.
He sprouts like these giant wings, and his skin is literally glowing. He runs at Doomhammer. He continues to like.
He's got so much power at this point. He's making one swipe with his sword, and like
Regiments of orcs are falling over.
Yeah.
This is how powerful this dude was. And he fights Ogrim, and he doesn't kill Ogrim. He like cuts him across the chest, and he falls on the ground. And he's like, "Give me an honorable death," or whatever.
Ogrim wants Ogrim.
Well, he wants an honorable death.
They are think of the Horde as the
Klingons
Klingons of the
WoW
WoW universe. Die by honor,
die in battle.
die in battle, and he wouldn't give him that.
No.
They imprisoned him.
They took him and they imprisoned him, and the Horde runs with their tail between their legs back to the Dark Portal. And we
Not all of the ones go to the Dark Portal.
a lot of them get caught off. Like some clans go off in the woods and they eventually get hunted down,
Or enslaved.
or enslaved. So half of the Warsong clan gets stuck in Azeroth. They get slaughtered
Because they won't quit.
because they won't quit. Basically, what happens is the Alliance they win.
They win. Second war is theirs. They win. But before the third war starts, they get this bright idea. The Alliance does. I got this idea. Let's reopen the Dark Portal. We'll take that guy and that army, and we'll go to their home plane and we'll fight it. This is called Enter the Dark Portal.
Yeah, it's an expansion. It's also a book.
It's also a book called Enter the Dark Portal, which is to me
I recommend buying it for you.
the stupidest thing that anybody could possibly do. Let's go into the realm of these giant mutant orcs of death and fight them on their home turf.
But they were already in Azeroth because they was making like they was collecting powerful artifacts because Ner'zhul thought Azeroth was a lost cause. He was gonna open up portals to different planets.
Here's the thing.
But that's just showing that the Alliance beat you guys.
This is true. But you guys decide we're going to go and kick them while they're down. And they go in there. And when they do... Hold on, fellas. And when they do...
I didn't even know we had that.
They do, the portal gets cut off. And they get trapped.
Well, it's a pretty sizable Alliance army. And there's the thing, they get reinforcements from the native people of Draenor, Outland, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they help.
They have those weird bird people help them.
Eventually, they beat the Horde, gets basically beaten completely. And so ends
the Warcraft 2 era.
The Warcraft 2 era. And
let's do something. Ner'zhul, we have to mention Ner'zhul. Ner'zhul, they fight him all the way up to the Black Temple, and he was up at the very top with all his trusted warlocks and shamans. And he opens up a portal to go to a different planet. He goes through and it closes. And turns out it was the beautiful one, or Kil'jaeden was. He took him and he tortures him forever. And what seems like it's a long time.
He creates the Lich King armor, yada yada yada.
And
that's who's in the Lich King armor. Is Ner'zhul.
That's why he thinks that the Death Knights. It's a cool thing. The reason why he calls the Death Knights is because he still thinks that they're Death Knights from that era.
Right.
That's why they're called Death Knights.
Right. But that so ends the Warcraft 2 era, and I think that's where we're probably going to end this. Sound good?
So exactly have we actually determined which side has the better lore?
I would say I'll give let him go first. Give your argument.
I think the Horde has the best lore because we don't hide behind all these heroes. We have one guy, and to be honest with you, the Horde as a whole, I believe, fights individually better than the Alliance.
Do you think that's true even now?
Yes.
Even in the current game?
Yes. I will always
Mr. Dickhead up there on the war chief.
He's a dickhead. I agree with you there. But that's besides the point. Look at what this says.
But okay, then I think the Alliance has the better lore because they're more organized. I think they will always be more organized than the Horde, and we got so many of these awesome Omni heroes that have all kinds of power
But you have to admit this: if it wasn't for the Horde, there would not be any World of Warcraft. Huh?
No.
Bam.
One word for the Alliance. Turtles.
Turtles. Turtles. Turtles.
As you
And-
know, we've pulled our beer-basted ribs out of the oven, and these caramel. I boosted the temperature in the last half hour to 400 degrees just to get a good caramelization on the ribs. They're tender, juicy, and as the guys can attest, smell absolutely heavenly.
Agreed.
So that was. This has been our new format for Gamer Gourmet. The recipe today was beer-basted boar ribs, or beer-basted pork ribs, depending on what you can get. I'm the goddess Estrella, and feel free to leave a comment below as to who you think has the better lore, Horde or Alliance, or feel free to add on to Buckland and Caleb's comments regarding the lore. See you next time on the Gamer Gourmet.